Yeah, and we're all logged in.
Yeah, well, that should help. Let's keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah.
So something probably is gonna blow up in our face. Okay, we ready? Let me click on the.
Yeah, I think we're ready whenever everybody else is ready.
Whenever you are, yeah.
Got us
Okay.
all logged in and everything.
Everybody ready?
Hold on,
Sure.
make sure it started. Yep.
Okay. Call to order the April 11th, 2018 meeting of the Oregon City Library Board at 5 o'clock. Present are Don Wright, Ken Hall, Larry Osborne, Scott Edwards, Nick Dirkman, and Jan Wallander, and staff Maureen Cole and Denise Butcher. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Everybody's got their agenda in front of them. So our first agenda item is approval of the minutes from the March 2018 meeting. As always, a thanks to Denise for great minutes.
You're welcome.
I move the minutes be approved as presented.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as they were printed or received. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nays? Minutes are approved. No public at the moment. So maybe public will arrive later.
I think the
So-
door's locked now.
Yeah. Oh, so I think Harriet was planning on coming.
Really?
I saw her at the library,
She was at the library.
but we didn't talk about that, so.
Huh,
I saw her at the library too.
okay.
We chatted briefly, but if not, I know what she was talking about.
Yeah, and we just came, Ken and
Yeah,
I
you
just
guys
came
came
from the
from the meeting,
library,
so, okay.
the Friends meeting, so.
Okay, so maybe she wasn't coming. So the next, then our next agenda item is the, I guess maybe back up, were there any other agenda changes, additions or changes to the agenda that you got? Okay. Library Director's Report. Mo,
Okay.
you're on.
Greetings and welcome, library board members. Don, sorry to make you sit around the corner. I'm not trying to do
I
like
like it
a.
over here.
Do
I'm
you?
sorry.
Okay, good.
I stand apart from the rest of the crowd.
Well, that is
watch
so true
everybody.
in so many ways. Yeah,
He's keeping an eye on us over there.
I see.
The old actor is over in the corner, off in the wings, so.
yeah, and you've got me like head on, so
yeah.
well, none of us can escape. So Ken, sorry, this is a little bit of a repeat from the Friends meeting because I give them like my report and these statistics just because like I have to say something to them and this is already written up, so I just kind of give them the highlights. But thanks to Nick's questions about statistics and his interesting questions, I have gone back to our statistical report and tried to reformat it and reorder it in a way that I thought made more sense and also added some information. So I just want to kind of walk through this with you, and if you have feedback for me, that's great. If not, think about it and we can just keep working. This is a, work in progress. We can just keep working on it. Because once it gets set, I'm going to have somebody come in and really help me with this Excel and get the numbers all in there from like these other years and all that stuff, because I'm not that savvy on Excel. So anyway, I thought we'd go through and then also look at the statistics as presented. Door count.
So this is the one labeled library stats. That one, okay.
Yeah,
lots.
the March statistical report.
Okay.
I did send you lots and lots of reports because I wanted you also to see where they came from, and we can kind of review that too. But let's just go through the regular monthly report, which is March statistical report. At the very top, we start with door count, which is 37,643, which is up by 800. So remember, we're comparing apples to apples, and we're still going up and doing well. So I think that's great. Then new patron registrations, which I've always had, but now we have totaled registered patrons.
I like that.
And this is a number which will fluctuate more than you think because our network office will occasionally just strip away all of the users who like have not had any library activity in like, what is it, 3 years?
No, it's actually 1.5 to 2 years.
That's not very long
No.
at all. I would like to talk to them about that. I don't think that's long enough. But at any rate, they'll do that. And so we were over 20,000, and then we went all the way down to like 17,000 when they did that, and it was about 4 or 5 months ago. So we've built ourselves back up, but it's rarely one of those things where you can go back last month and go, oh yes, 316, that equals our exact number. No, because they're taking things off in the background. And then our direct loans to public. As you know, I've kind of reformatted this to have a total excluding e-materials and then add the e-materials in and then a total of everything. And Library to Go, we have Cloud Library now too, so that's kind of just a catch name. I should change it. Is up 500 from last year. It's substantial. And that plus our young adults increasing. And plus our juvenile increasing a little bit, makes up for our adult going down a little bit, and we are up about 1,500 items from last year. So that's looking good. I think that's looking really good. And then the next number is brand new. And I probably can come up with a different way of formatting this, but basically it's like the number of people who live in or outside of Oregon City or elsewhere outside of our service area, and the number of items that they have checked out. So this gives us direct information as to like where all the checkouts are happening. It's not all the activity in the world, which like, if you reserve a room, I'm not gonna know where you live. Do you know what I mean? But at least it tells us that, which is interesting. It's like, what is this? Like 3,400 people total are doing all the checkouts. Like,
Yeah, I was
46,000
really
checkouts.
surprised by that.
Right?
And,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
numbers per
Yep.
person.
Yep.
It's like, I forget, I did some numbers.
Did the math on it, yeah.
And the other thing was surprising are the numbers that people from outside the area
Yes.
are doing.
Yes.
And I almost didn't believe those numbers.
Yeah. Well,
So unincorporated are
It's-
people still within the district, but outside Oregon City limits?
yeah, they're within the Oregon City service area,
Okay.
but outside
But they-
of the Oregon City limits, exactly.
But the
And then
other
other
people-
are people outside of the Oregon City service area, and even maybe from Multnomah County or Washington County or whatever, but they have a card so
Yeah.
they can check out materials. Because as you know, you can take your library, your residence, all you need is a driver's license. Say, I live in Oregon City, and you can go to Portland or Hillsborough and get a card for those counties. So we have people doing that, because
That is a
people
lot,
like
yeah.
go back and forth all over the place here. So that's interesting, and I thought like the per person number of books was like not that radically different from inside Oregon City limits or outside Oregon City limits. Just glancing at it. So that's a brand new kind of area of a report that we can look at. And it again, we've been trying to get at that in and outside Oregon City thing. And Nick's had a lot of interest in that. And it's like, how can we get to it? In what areas? So self-checks still going up because, did we have self-checks this time last year?
I don't think so.
The new ones? I don't think so either. Yeah. Holds, the good news is this month the number is down like 2,500 of received versus sent. So we sent more this year than we did last year, and we received fewer. So what that tells me is that our collection met the demands of the patrons in-house better than they did this time last year, which is great. Materials added, I think next month we're going to see a huge bump in that because that will include a bunch of materials that has been received this month from the foundation money, because that's been rolling in. Reference looks fine. I never can figure out what the heck they're counting in reference. Programs are, under children's programs, we had about 400, well, not 400, 3,500 more people at only 2 more programs, so attendance was higher. Otherwise, there's not a huge shift in programs. And then I did figure out that and internet sessions were down, but I finally figured out that I've been getting the number of Wi-Fi sessions every month. I just didn't know what I was looking at. So I don't have a number there, but the number is like very close to 8,000 separate Wi-Fi sessions. However, what makes up a Wi-Fi session, like I could be there all day and I could be logging into Wi-Fi off and on like all day because I go away, don't use it for a while, it times out, I come back, I re-log in, and that would be a new session. So it's a number, I'm not sure how, it's only going to be a good number for us as we compare it to itself over time, I think. You know what I mean? So that's what that is. And then I decided to add meeting room use because that's the other way that we have a lot of usage. Now, I mean, that would be tracked in the door count, but you don't really know what people are doing when they come in, and this helps describe that. And I pulled out the library programs and meetings that were held in the library because we kind of have that number with programs. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't want to duplicate it and make it look like it was, oh my God, we have all these groups. But anyway, we still had a lot going on. The community room was used 20 times other than library programs. The conference room was used 41 times, and that little everything room, which is perfect for 2 or 3 people, is just busting its butt, man, 67 reservations. It's used for tutoring. Lots and lots of tutoring goes on in there. It's perfect for that. If I could have another room just like that, I would love it. But anyway, social media we did last month, so this is the 2nd month with this. And I added email newsletter to this so that you could see how many email newsletters get distributed monthly. And Erin has started sending out a little weekly digest to the same group of people. So you may see that, which is kind of a nice, really quick glance at what's happening this week. This month's volunteers hours actually reflect the bookstore and the library, which is great because Harriet got me the statistics on time from the bookstore. And that's a lot of hours, but we need more volunteers at the library to help shelve, basically. And then we received a little bit more money this month too. So all in all, our statistics I think look really good. I feel really good about the ones that I've started capturing, and I kind of like the order of them. But you guys take a look at these, think about them, let me know. I just kind of want them to flow in a way that makes sense as you go down the page, and so you kind of get the big picture, then broken up and all that in different areas.
I thought the little breakout you did of, oh man, now I've lost it. Just a minute here, sorry. Just give me a second. OC users who have checked out items last month, it's titled, but then it includes, I can get this thing enlarged. I don't have a mouse, so I'm using my fingers. User attribute count users, count checkouts. Says Oregon City, 2003, unincorporated, 1,170, and it gives that whole list by city and area. And I thought, wow, that's actually pretty interesting. We're kind of a
Well, and so that was the report that I got from Network, and I just wanted you to see that. I'm not sure that I don't really want to provide that list necessarily all the time, at least not in the overview. But it is pretty interesting. It gets pretty granular.
I'd like to know where unknown is. I'd like to know where unknown is.
Yeah.
There's 9 of them, whatever it is.
Well, so we have cards for people that really don't provide us very much information, don't we?
Computer-only cards, or
That wouldn't be this.
Well, but temporary cards without ID or address can check out 3 items.
Yeah, so that could be in that category. Yeah.
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 Tell me again what
So,
passport is? Passport. Passport.
Well, so that is a program that we started several years ago with most of the other libraries in Oregon, where you could, and we're a Passport library, and I don't, and that's why somebody could come from like the coast
Oh, yeah,
and check out books here if they have a library card on the coast.
okay.
So it's kind of like being able to go to another part of the state and use the library there because you're a resident. We don't have a statewide card, so this was kind of like the next best plan to
Okay.
do that. So that's what Passport is.
All right.
Yeah.
Do they have to, they still have to return the book back here though, right?
Yeah. Well, they would be using it here in theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you go to Bend on vacation or something and Deschutes participates.
Good to know.
Then, but you'd have to find that out ahead of time. I don't want to like make any claims for Deschutes. Yeah. Yes.
I've got a home in Pacific City, and they have a library also. So if with a Passport, I could check out a book there, let's say for 3 weeks, and then I take it back there.
Right.
But that would work with that?
Well, you'd have to
I'd
check with
check with
Pacific
them.
City. Yeah. Or there's probably a
It's
list
still
online.
Tillamook County.
I'm not sure if it's online. We have a list.
We have a list?
We have a
Oh, okay.
list.
Well, we could find
Yeah.
out for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could find out from them too.
Yeah, you could find out from them, whatever's easiest.
And,
Thanks. That's
and what you would actually do is you would get a card for Pacific City if they're a participating library. So you don't use our card, but you have to have a card at your home library in order to get one at the Passport library.
Oh, sure.
And it's only good for a year, and it's only good for 5 items
But
at
still.
a time. But yeah,
And that's a great way to use it, is if you have 2 homes or something.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's that. And then I gave you a list of the March 2018 statistics, which is what I get from Denise. So she gives me this every month, and it's like she wrangles, literally wrangles, some of these statistics out of some of the other people at the library regarding programs and stuff like that. And the money, Denise does all the deposits, so she tracks all the money and that kind of thing. So that's where, I'm just trying to show you that this comes from a lot of different sources. And I actually am able to look up a couple things on my very own, like door count and stuff like that. And then the other really, really big one that I sent you comes from Network. And if you went to the bottom of it, you could actually, there's tabs for every single library that you actually could look at. Yeah, it's really a pretty interesting document. And what's nice about it is it's got like all the months of the year, right? And so I can look right at it and see what was happening last month, which is a lot of interest to me. And maybe that's one of the things that we want to add to our statistics, although I usually send you guys a PDF is the thing, because I usually don't send you the spreadsheet. If I sent you the spreadsheet, you too could look at that last month's and stuff. But in the past, we got in the habit of sending PDFs because in the past, a lot of people's computers couldn't open up Excel or whatever. And so maybe that's just not even a question anymore, but that's just kind of to make sure everybody could look at what we sent. We do it this way. So that's the statistics story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Any comments or?
Oh, that's great. I think it's looking,
I think some of the numbers, particularly looking at outreach in terms of where, who's using the library, even though it's still consolidated, but it gives us a lot better feel for the in-city and the rest of the service area. And then the fact that, all the detail that you gave us, again, I don't know if we need that every time, but it still is just interesting to see where things are going. And it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, my first reaction is probably the detail I actually get from Denise. I don't know that we need every
Right.
time. That's
No.
kind of where all the individual programs are. This one that was the spreadsheet from the link was kind of interesting. I don't know if we would maybe just quarterly or something, because you can see how materials change and what's happening with the collection and all. But I do like some of the changes you've made. I think number of patrons and some of those. It just gives you a different kind of feel. Yeah, on that inside and that.
Yeah.
within city limits, out of city limits.
And that's one that would be nice in spreadsheet form, I think, the link one.
The link one? The one I get from Network?
Yeah, when you do send it to us quarterly.
Oh, get the whole
Yeah.
thing. Well, I think you would like it because you could look at all the other libraries too, you know, and I mean, I know you would go crazy and you would probably love it. But it is a very interesting comparison. And, just to see like how many new cards they have, how many, card holders do they have that are registered in their area. I mean, there's 2 right there that come specifically from that bit of information. So that's where you get like every library's comparison number. Whereas a bunch of these others just, you know, I don't track how much money they do monthly or anything like that. You know, I'm never going to know that. So, yeah. So quarterly on the link statistics.
I mean, I just said that out just because I wasn't sure. We
Well,
needed
it
every
sounded
month.
like
I mean,
we
some
liked
of
that
it
idea.
is you really want to see it over time, like just
Yeah.
a point in time
Right.
really
Yeah.
doesn't tell you that much, but I think seeing that over the time period really
Okay.
gives you a.
Well, why
And
don't
some of it
I
goes up
send
and
it to
down.
you again in June, just because June is kind of like one of those months. And June, July, and we'll just take it forward quarterly. Okay.
Does that seem okay to folks?
Sounds good to me.
But now you kind of like know what's behind the stuff that I give you, you know, if, also I want you to feel free to like ask any specific questions that, you know, are related to any of those, or like combinations of things that, you know, Network, they can do a lot of reporting for us. You know, if they've got the data, they will bend over backwards to put together something that comes up with the report. So, you know, just anything that we can reflect what we're doing, you know, or like where we need to improve or whatever, especially as we're going through the strategic planning and stuff. It's
Yeah,
More-
I mean, it's
more
trying to think
heads.
about how it is that, you know, then what do we do with that, or how do we use it? Like when you were talking about all the community meetings and particularly the individual rooms. I thought,
Yeah.
So how does that fit with, you know, that policy we created in reserving rooms? Is it too
Right.
cumbersome, given the volume of, you know, and so do we need to relook at that? So it's some of those kinds of things, how
Good
some of
thought.
the policy things we've decided, now that they're playing out, you know, is it really working?
well, you know, we just like do what works anyway.
Yeah, I understand, I figure that, you know.
There's policy and then there's process. The day to day.
But yeah, we did decide some things up front, because
We
before
did.
you really knew how busy things would be, and then like maybe it's a little bit too comfortable.
Well, like one of the decisions we made was around age.
Yeah,
And I think we came back and had a secondary conversation about that after you see like what works and what doesn't work, you know? So, you know, don't worry, we will come back to you when we see things that don't work. And we'll be coming back to you just, while I'm on the topic, with some behavioral policy issues. And probably not for a month or two. But we just need to refine that. So that'll be a nice opportunity to kind of go through that again, which it's just kind of good to look at these anyway. So, okay.
I mean, you can certainly see on the link here report the trend that, you know, items are increasing, the collection overall is increasing, just.
Yeah,
Which
slowly.
is slowly, which is
Slowly.
exciting.
Yeah. Let's see here. So what else do I have on my report if I could find it? Well, speaking of collections, we have gotten in most of the items purchased for the adult section with the funds from the foundation. So we're kind of at that point where they're dribbling in. The last few are dribbling in. Weren't we down to like 40 or something? 40 books. 20. And then Denise has been tracking this very carefully, because what we don't know is processing costs and shipping costs on those. So once we get that figured out, we've been tracking like just the full retail price, which is never what we get. But if we do that, then we'll have money left over even after tracking, processing, and shipping. So then Gina will have a little bit more money to spend. So that's where we're kind of like in that section right now. and then she'll order some more, and then Barrett still needs to catch up on some other ordering, but then she'll start ordering the children's, which will be kind of good. It was actually really, 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 really fantastic that it worked out that they were not all ordering at once, because I think Betty probably would have had a heart attack if like a bunch of those boxes. And children's is very complicated because she's got it split into a lot of like categories that help the kids find things at all their different developmental and, you know, reading ages. So it's just not that complicated in adult. So it was really good that it worked out this way. It's worked out really well. So Gina has gone through and like rearranged, I don't know how many shelves, because she's also interfiled paperback with the hardback and oversize with all the collections. Yeah, so yeah, I know, I see, I'm like, let's see how that works. Let's see how that works. So it reduced our number of shelves, but it filled up the ones we have more. But I mean, the shelves aren't disappearing. They can be put back in at any time. And boy, she's gotten really good at moving them around.
Yeah.
So we know how to do that. We can revise. It looks fine. It looks good. It's good to see all those new items out there, although they're going really quickly. So, you know, as new items will. Pardon?
There's still a lot of space on shelves for.
Yeah, well, we will also have it kind of like spread out so that like there's not like overpacked and then tiny amounts and overpacked and tiny amounts, you know? And that's like kind of a constant, you're constantly shuffling that around as books come in and books come out and all that stuff, you know? That's kind of the art of shelving also, in addition to getting them in the right place, which is a whole nother art. So, so that's happening. We also will probably be working with the Parks Department on another sign for the park and library, which will be an interpretive sign. So it will have history of the park and the library on it. And this is something we've been needing to do, but Carl Clapp passed away and his widow called and said, could we have a bench in the park in his memory? And we already have more than enough benches, so we suggested this to her. And so it was great. We've collected quite a bit of money on behalf of, for Carl's memorial to go towards this, and then Parks and Library will take care of what is left over. And we'll have probably a little tiny design committee. Hold on just a second.
Yep.
But Phil needs to run this by the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee as to how they would like to proceed with it. Nick, having done a few signs in the past, has offered to help us out and kind of represent the library board aspect of it.
And where is the McLaughlin Neighborhood Association in this? They seem to have.
Nowhere at the moment.
Huh?
Nowhere at the moment.
Well, I mean, they seem to have input on every sign that goes into the ground out there, so.
Well, there's still lots to be discussed.
Okay. I just didn't want to let the thing roll on without
Really? I would.
bringing up the names. So.
We'll see
You're
how it
taking
goes.
letting Parks take the lead on this one.
I'm trying to let
Right.
Parks take the
Thank
lead
you.
on this, if they will take the lead on it, yeah. Because it is outdoors, and it's a joint informational thing. So
Okay.
I'm sure somebody else will think of that too. And then just wanted to mention, Jan mentioned this to me, and I'm sure you guys saw this somewhere, or some of you saw it. The state librarian was asked to resign, which she did, Mary Kay Dahlgreen, over what we do not know, which is why she forced the governor to fire her. Because Governor Brown said it was for performance issues, but those were never specified, and at least not in writing, and so Mary Kay said, fire me. So guesses are that it was political, and that, you know, it just wasn't a position that the governor felt was worth fighting for or whatever, you know? So there you go. There's an interim. The library community was very upset about this, not just because we all love Mary Kay, who's been fabulous, but because there was absolutely no conversation with any anybody at all in the library community. So the Board of Trustees for the state library, which should have been at least, consulted, nothing. Oregon Library Association, who works very closely with the state library's office, nothing. So there was a lot of uproar about that and about the fact that we all thought she was doing a wonderful job. I mean, we can't really figure out. I mean, if you're going to point it at that, then point at something. There was nothing from our point of view, and we're the users too. We're one of the main audiences of who the state library serves. So there's an interim. They appointed an interim very quickly. I'm sure she's very capable. She's been with the state library for a long time. And the governor has promised that the library community will be involved somehow in the replacement. And that's really the best we could do. I mean, it's not like they were going to hire her back. And once you're gone, so.
So can you remind me of kind of what the role of the state library?
So the state library
Short
in
version.
Oregon kind of serves three purposes. First of all, they serve as a research library for government offices. Secondly, they're in charge of the Talking Books and Braille collection. And thirdly, they provide, I think they call it leadership and development or something like that, to all the libraries in the state. And so, like, for instance, Darcy Hanning is our consultant for free for our strategic planning process. So they do a lot of things like that. They distribute ready-to-read funds, which are federal funds, I believe. And we get over $8,000 a year for those. And they were different state libraries, state libraries in different states do things very, very differently. I don't know why, but they do. So in some state libraries in other states, they require certification of all librarians, and they require actual certification of the libraries themselves. So the standards that we talk about, they're yes, please do this. We encourage you to do this. In Oregon, elsewhere, it's required that you meet a certain level, or you're going to get cut off from a certain level of funding. Our state library does not distribute that much money. So it's, it's not like they can cut us off from something except for the ready to read. And that's basically, they're just a distributor for those. So, so different state libraries play different roles, but that's what our state library has been doing. And the relationship between public libraries and the state library has been very important throughout the years. So who is in that role is very important to us.
I was hoping it didn't impact their strategic planning, because clearly we've been
Yeah,
using
no,
them a lot.
right. Yeah, no, that will continue. And Darcy called me immediately to let me know that was not in jeopardy at all. So that's what's going on with that. One of the other topics we talked about last month was potentially taking a month off this summer. I think we only have to have 10 meetings per year. We don't have to have 12. And I found out that, I was at a friend's meeting, Ken and I were earlier, and they decided to take August off. So that would be a possibility, take August off. It could be anything, but it wouldn't be all bad to coordinate with that. Because August is kind of,
We usually do the last couple of years, I think, taking August.
August?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 9 meetings, I just looked it up.
9. Oh, we could take even more. Let's take flying August off, right?
Yeah, might have a snow meeting.
See you in September.
Yeah. So it may depend more on where you are in the strategic planning process, and if we're trying to affirm some things to be ready for fall, so
Yeah, I was thinking of that. I know I wouldn't want you to be off before then, probably. Yeah, because I think we're going to do a bunch of strategic planning work in May, and so June, July will be August. It might take us a while to put together a bunch of that stuff. I don't know how soon we would have, if we're having the stakeholders meeting at the end of May. So it is unlikely that I can turn around in 2 to 3 weeks and have a great document for you, but I might, depending on what's going on in June. And so I think July would be, like, we wouldn't want to take off July for sure. And we don't have to decide, you know, we have plenty of time. Because all we really have to do is get out the notice at the same time. It's like, yeah, August is canceled 1 week ahead, that's fine.
Okay.
So just
Does
something to
that seem
think
okay
about.
with people? We can kind of tentatively think we might take August off, but we'll wait and see where we are with.
I'm already making my
planning.
plans.
Yeah, so don't plan your vacation yet for the second
I
week of
can't do
August.
that. But I want to.
Because we can't lose any more, we'll have one
All right.
more.
Let me
Or
know.
we could take September off, because I want to go for a really long vacation in September.
There's snow in September, isn't there?
No, no, I'm not going to be
Not
seeking snow.
September.
I'm not going to be seeking
Not in
snow.
this hemisphere, anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, depends on how high you go.
There you go.
And it'll do it, yeah. Let's see here, where are we? I think that is mostly about what I have.
any other questions for Mo in terms of your library director's report? Okay, great.
The
Thank
replacement
you.
policy.
Yeah, that's.
So next one is
that's
the
actually
lost-
on the agenda.
Oh, it's its
Yeah.
own.
I know, it's its own thing.
So the next agenda item is the lost item replacement policy.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, like, what I really need to figure out is, does it currently exist as a policy? But we definitely want it, or just a process, just a procedure. But we definitely wanted to run this by you guys because it has to do with money. And right now, when somebody comes in and they have a lost or damaged book, well, they have a damaged book, or they don't have a lost book because it's lost. What is recorded in the catalog is the full retail price of the item. And everybody balks at that. And there's kind of, there's a specific, like if it's a book, it gets a certain price, right?
No, I think Betty's been adding the
At
actual,
price, okay. The actual retail price.
Actual retail
Okay,
price.
all right,
It's
so
on-
that's okay. But like children's books, you know, they're expensive if they're hardback. They're expensive. So people will come in and they'll say, well, how about if we just replace the item? Don't give you the money, but I'll go find this somewhere. Well, in theory, that's like really nice. But in practice, it's not, because we want library books. We don't want like just trade things that are gonna fall apart. So we want a specific ISBN and all that kind of thing. And they bring us all kinds of stuff that we end up saying, no, this is not acceptable. So then we have them unhappy about two things. Although we didn't cause their first problem, they did, but anyway. So what we thought we would do is just like kind of just jump over that whole conversation and say, okay, forget even the option of replacing things, because that's just not been that successful. And instead, what we'll do is pass along our savings to you so that you're paying the price that we're paying for it. Not the retail price, but our price, which seems like a little bit more fair in their mind anyway. I mean, we also have like other costs, which like, you know, if we charged them for what it would really cost us to replace the book, it would be a lot more, because staff time takes time to replace a book. Take one out of circulation and put another one in and blah, blah, blah. But we thought that sounded fair, and we thought that if that was the kind of thing that we were presenting to people, it would probably go over better, because then they would know that they were paying the same thing as we paid for it, instead of like just off the shelf. Thoughts?
I have a question.
Yes.
When you say catalog, you're talking the library's catalog. And right now it has retail price in it.
Yep.
So that's how you record the value of your collection, in a
Right.
sense. And I guess the other question I had is, now that you're doing, they put the RFID, all that kind of stuff, is that included in your price? So is it, I don't know, how significant is that?
It's like $1 a book.
Okay.
It's not, you know, this, like, how many lost books do we have in a year or a month or whatever?
In a month,
More
probably.
than I think, right?
Yeah, At least a dozen, probably more than
Well,
that.
so it doesn't. I mean, it's not like it's
Oh, okay.
this,
It's not a huge.
It's not a huge amount.
Okay.
But it causes a huge amount of upset, is what I'm trying to get across. It's like, sometimes the money does not equal the emotional, like, unhappiness that it causes. So they're already unhappy because something happened to an item, and it's their problem that they don't want to deal with. They come in, I want to make this better. What do I do to make it better? And that's not something that Food for Fines or anything else will ever take care of. That is not one of those things we're like horse trading on. So, it's obviously the responsibility of each patron to be able to replace these books when they take them out of the library. But, that message, no matter how many times you say it, is very, very hard for people to understand what the real value is of those books, especially because they're used. Frankly, when they're getting them, they're used, but yet I'm asking them to buy a brand new one because that's what I would have to do, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of unhappy conversations that go on around lost and damaged items.
Well, I think that your suggestion, which is actual replacement cost, is a very, very liberal policy. And I think that having a single policy in place so you aren't forced into a negotiation stance is an excellent idea. I think this is a beautiful idea.
Okay.
I'm shocked that you ever did allow people to
Yeah, well,
replace
not all the
those.
libraries do, and then that was the other thing. Well, at Westland, they let me do da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, oh, God. So that's one of the problems with our consortium is,
I didn't know there was not such a thing as book rage.
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and then when you
Right
can't
books.
find the book on the shelf, you get mad, and, all these, I don't know.
Yeah. I like your, I like your plan.
Yeah, I thought the plan, and I think it also gives you an opportunity to say the reason, it's not reasonable for you to replace because we want, you want to get a newer book, you want a certain kind of book, but if we can replace at what it would cost us anyway, it's a better value for the library. I mean, it gives you a better, rather than negotiating this, like what's the quality of the book.
Yeah, it's a much easier buy on this, yeah.
Might I suggest, I imagine everybody in the staff has to deal with this at some time or another.
Not
right?
everybody, I don't.
Just about everybody in the staff has to deal with it. All depends. But just a little bit of dialogue training with your staff on what are the things that you might say to the people to ameliorate the situation. Like, oh, dang, you're in luck because you can replace that now for what it just costs us. Like, and it saves you the trouble of going around to all the places and trying to find it. And
Right.
yeah, we can get that done right now. That'll be $22.95. Thank you very much. And
Throw out terms like library binding and stuff to make it
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
easy.
don't
Yeah.
complicate it, right? And that's the thing, you're trying to explain them those special things that you're looking for. And
but you
it's
probably
like-
should have the same dialogue with each employee. Okay.
Well, this is
Right.
why we all call Denise.
Denise, yes.
Denise, you just do it. You just do it so well, why don't
So
you just do
Denise
it all?
has the chat.
Denise.
Yes, I have that chat.
What Denise said.
Yeah,
I just find it
Denise.
remarkable that there's that few that are lost and damaged out of this circulation every month. I mean, that's just remarkable. I mean,
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering what they go home to as well. Now, we don't open them up, each one, and make sure they're not damaged on the inside. We could open it up and there could be peanut butter and jelly, we don't know. The next person finds that.
right.
Yeah, and hopefully they will make us aware of it, but anyway, okay, that would be great. And, again, I will go back and I will double check and see if this was actually a written policy before. I mean, that might be kind of a strong word for it, but, it definitely is what our practice would turn to. And then the other thing is, like it says right here, is from this date forward. So, we cannot go back in time and change the price that's listed, and I do not want my staff doing the mental gymnastics that it would take to change, they don't know that information. So it's what is in the record is in the record, and that is the price that's going to be paid. From here on out, what we will be putting in the record is our discounted price. So
Now, I am a little confused. You're not actually charging replacement cost, you're charging your cost when it was purchased, whenever that was, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that is, I said it was very liberal, I'm gonna add another very.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it doesn't happen that often, and again, it's,
No, it's beautiful because
Yeah.
I can really see how that would make a patron feel much better with your dialogue. We're not charging you the current price.
Right.
We're only
I always
charging
like
you what it cost
1965
us.
prices myself, but you know.
Yeah.
heck.
And so maybe it isn't a policy, maybe the policy is patrons are responsible, and then you've got a procedure, and this is your procedure, it might be a way to think.
yeah,
about
it might be a way of thinking of it, yeah. And I mean, the policy is basically, when you signed your library card, you know, you
You agreed
agree to, you know, be responsible for the items, and you just kind of don't really think about what that responsibility means until you, like, damage or lose something. And, you know, think about, like, some of these books end up falling in tubs and things like
It's
that.
not like
you
what
know?
the congressman did to Zuckerberg yesterday.
What?
Well, he
oh,
says, well,
please fill me in on
when
this.
you sign in to Facebook, you agree to all these things. And he held up this tome, which was
Yeah.
the printed out version of everything you signed on for.
Oh my God,
Oh my
really?
God. Not like that.
it. No, this read.
No, not like that.
Okay.
Not like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments on
Great.
that? Okay, the next item is strategic planning update, which
Well,
sounds like you already sort of said a little bit.
We already started some of that, yeah, so our stakeholders group is set, and, I was gonna bring the list of who's gonna be in it, but, you know, it's gonna be the city manager, Brian Shaw, the city commissioner, who's been very involved with the building and everything else. Larry and Scott, Harriet, Karen Martini from the foundation. We have 2 more staff members in addition to us because we're too invested in the process. And then we have one teenager who's gonna skip baseball practice to come. And that was really a gift. And then we have a mom who's got 3 little ones and who has to find a specific babysitter and everything else because whatever, to come. And that was a real gift. In fact, she may have to bring her baby though, but that's okay. Involve everybody. So anyway, I can't remember all the people, but we've got this nice rounded out group, I think, that is pretty representative of our community. And we will be meeting on 2 days, May 21st from 4 to 8 and May 23rd from 4 to 8. On May 21st, we'll be meeting here, and on May 23rd, we'll be meeting at the library. Instructions to follow, you don't need to remember this. And in the meantime, I'm supposed to be putting together, with Denise's help, a bunch of information to help kind of inform our conversation, which will be like demographics and, you know, history of the library and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm doing. Darcy Hanning, who's been working with staff, will be back. She's helping us with this entire process from the state library. And I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
I just have to get my stuff together.
And it looked like the guiding principles that were in our communication were the same ones from last time. We
Yeah,
haven't
I didn't change
those, just
anything.
so.
No, because you guys were kind of
Yeah.
thinking about them and had come up with some words, but not,
Kind of letting
you
the
know,
process. I
I've
think
got
we're sort of
like
letting the
quality,
process,
best, operational, yeah. So, yeah, so that's where we are. And if you want to discuss those or have any more thoughts on guiding principles.
No.
I know, you
feel like
need
we
to
have
leave.
2 good representatives, so I think let the process
Just
move
kind of
forward
continue
and-
to simmer.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, the next item, communications, which is where we do reports from various groups. So we want to start with, I'll start with LDAC. I don't know, Nick, if there's been any LDAC.
Oh, and
meeting?
Dawn.
Don,
Well, it's not
Oh, and then
really-
Don still, okay, so you're
Yeah, our
still
next
not
meeting's
official.
not-
Okay.
well, another couple
moving
weeks, so.
next month I'll.
Okay,
And I still don't know what my status is, so.
Well, you're on your way out, buddy. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. So, yeah,
Well,
it
the-
was,
The committees are being formed for the discussion of the various things around changing the master order, but I haven't heard any update on that since our last meeting, so.
well, I can fill you in on what I know, and I don't think it's any different.
Yeah.
So they've decided on basically two, or this is what was proposed, two task force.
Yeah.
One small one to kind of deal with the whole Gladstone thing, like now, and just focus on that topic. And then a big task force that will kind of take on some of those bigger issues of like sustainability of funding, you know, I don't know.
So they decided to
But
do
they haven't moved
that.
forward yet. They haven't-
Yeah, but I don't know, I haven't had to see a list of names or meeting dates.
No, yeah. As far as like who,
I don't think there's been a meeting since.
No.
no, I don't, there hasn't been a
since
meeting.
Since our last meeting.
Right, I think they talked about who should be on the small task force, because they really wanted to get that going. But as far as the big task force, you know, they want like library board representation, city manager representation, city council commission representation, you know, so it could be still like the big task force could still be like very, very unwieldy. And so I think their second thought on that was like, well, maybe we break it down into topics and have like subgroups working on specific topics.
It's in the process.
It's in process. Yeah, Greg is working with, Greg, who's the director of network, is working with Laura Zentner, who is interim director of building services department or something like that. Anyway, like one of the big, like half of the county thing. So she reports directly to Dawn Krupp, the county manager. So she's a huge library supporter. She's awesome, awesome, awesome. We love her. So they're working together and just kind of trying to figure out a model for that is where they're at. So I think we meet again on April 23rd,
I didn't bring-
20-something. It's that Monday of that week.
I think it's a Monday.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Monday, we'll be there.
So it's in process that you, because Nick had to be affirmed by the
Yeah.
county commissioners. so
Right.
just kind of-
So it's possible that Nick will be approved before that time. Greg had all the right information to put in front of the county commission. And it's basically just a nod, but it has to be at a meeting. And so he was gonna try and get that done, but if not, Nick is still invited to sit at the big boy table,
Yeah.
as I call it,
Well,
because he's a designee. So he would be non-voting, but he would be a designee.
He won't be sitting down like this.
No, yeah, we'll let him sit up high.
Sit him up.
And, but, I mean, if he gets appointed before then you get to skip,
Or you can go.
or you could go, because I know
I
you
could.
love those meetings so much.
I do.
But you could go and you could sit in the
They're actually getting
audience
better.
if you
They're more
wanted to.
interesting now than they were way back when.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we walked through hell to get it to where it is today, right, Don?
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was painful. Oh, jeez. Anyway,
And on we go.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Friends, Ken?
friends, I haven't got much to offer here. They've delayed their meeting by a week for next month. And in August, there'll be no meeting, as Maria mentioned before. They did have a presentation by the Children's Library
yeah,
person.
Barrett came in.
About the summer program, giving kind of a heads up what's going on.
They gave, sorry to interrupt, they gave a bunch of money to the library for that, so she came in and told them what their money was getting, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I can't think of a lot that was related to us too much, can you?
No, only that they will be celebrating their 20th anniversary this year, and so
yeah.
they will have some events in November and December that we might want to get on our radar. They always have an annual luncheon, but this year will be like the 20-year annual luncheon. So, we might want to try to encourage more people to come. And they're doing a chamber after hours, in November. So we can get those dates and information to you guys, and if it's possible, it's nice to recognize them. They've contributed so much to the library over the years, and it's phenomenal what they do as a volunteer organization.
They did state that they were making money and
They are.
doing well, so.
And
When I
Arlene
saw
Keating-
I saw Harriet just there in the lobby, and she said she had $150 from book sales from that little kiosk
Really?
in the library for like 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. That's what I was just gonna say.
That was like
And it
amazing.
saves them, I mean, this is not farmer's market time of year, but it saves them in the summer from going to farmer's market, and which was so labor intensive. And so it's like a very consistent in-library reminder of our patrons about the Friends, and it's great. It's great, and it's so easy for us. And Harriet's great to work with.
And they're working on getting advertisement out for the 20th anniversary
Yeah.
and different things, like bookmarks and stuff.
They're trying to decide if they want to have any swag.
Bookmark swag.
Trinkets and trash.
Yeah,
Swag,
trinkets and trash, yeah, exactly. Book bags, whatever.
yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you, thank you. The foundation that I represent hasn't met since we last met. We meet on the 23rd also, so there's really nothing. I think they did, they had a fundraiser on Tuesday, right, at the
Yeah.
Oregon City Brewing?
Yep.
So anybody went down there, you know, I think got
We did.
$1 donated for every beer you drank or drink, so.
Yeah, Pam and Karen were there, I know, and a bunch of people were there actually, and a bunch of library staff too. This was one thing that we could actually get library staff to go to. Surprise. Well, and it's just a really nice thing that OC Brewing does, you
Yeah.
know?
That is.
Yeah.
Is there any other groups that?
Not groups, but the Oregon City, Good Morning Oregon City.
Chamber meeting.
Were you going to speak about that?
I wasn't, but you can, so that was
Okay.
sponsored by the library and the Friends, so.
Yeah, it was really good attendance.
It
I think
was.
based on what I've seen before, and I think it was, there's a lot of support. It was a good way to get that group aware of the library and what the foundation and the Friends do, and so I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was a very nice event. I think we had like, I don't know, it looked like about 70 people or something.
Right.
Yeah. And good energy, and yeah, it's just nice to get people there about once a year. So it's National Library Week, of course. We were trying to have it this week, but it had already been taken by Founders Clinic. Darn them. And so we had it the week before, but it was nice to let them know that, you know, the Food for Fines was coming up and that kind of stuff, so. And then speaking of National Library Week, we did, yesterday was National Library Workers' Day, right? Something like that. And so we bought lunch for staff, just had it downstairs, just pizza and stuff. And then today, we had therapy bunnies.
Is that what?
I know, right?
Therapy
bunnies.
bunnies.
Just for staff. This was a staff thing. And it was inexpensive, and you just pet bunnies. And I wasn't there. It sounds really silly, but Denise can tell you that is very soothing and relaxing, and felt very special to staff.
Are they trained?
Not to scratch.
Trains.
No, they were very calm. There was 4 of them. Very soft, very calm, and staff loved it.
So,
Well, thank you for doing all those good things for staff.
yeah, they have to be taken care of, and they work hard.
Are we going to see a picture of that in one of your library updates on Facebook?
That's up to Aaron. I don't know.
She's doing a great job doing those things.
Thank you. He is, isn't he?
I believe you put a picture on Twitter.
On
Either
Twitter.
Twitter or Instagram.
Oh, okay.
I don't have either one of those, so, okay.
That was a great picture of, I forget now who, but in front of that with the-
Gina?
Gina with,
That was-
in the
that was
truck. That was a
great.
great,
Yeah,
that was a
cute,
great
wasn't it?
photo.
Good. That was
Yeah.
really good.
She has such an energy, so.
Boy, I'll say.
Oh, they also mentioned the volunteers breakfast next week.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and you're all invited to the volunteers breakfast Tuesday morning
That's right.
at the library,
8:30.
8:30 to 9:30. Thank you, Ken.
If I wake
forgot
up,
about that, yeah.
If you wake up, good.
Tuesday.
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday,
The 17th.
17th.
Yeah, April 17th. Great, thank you,
Yeah.
Ken. That was
Thank you.
perfect
What was the,
timing.
what's the time?
8:30.
8:30.
Yeah.
Okay, any other future agenda items? We're down to that.
I have a question about, at one time we talked about going and seeing the
Oh, the sorter.
sorter.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the interest was in actually doing that, but I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'd like to go see Josh, give him a hard time.
You know Josh?
Yes. Hence why I said I'd like to give him a hard time.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
So
Yeah.
this is the sorter at the county now.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
big.
Oh,
It's
big,
big.
okay.
Yeah. No, that would be fun.
Interesting.
It's always
I
fun
can
to see
I
stuff.
can arrange that. What would be kind of a good time for people? Like,
What, does it run 24/7 or, I mean, it's during the
No.
day, right?
I have
It's
no
in the
idea what
morning,
you're talking about.
actually.
it runs in the morning, and that's
Yeah,
it?
they're done with sorting by 11 or so.
Oh,
That makes
okay.
sense.
11 or 12,
Because they have
yeah.
to still.
Oh, the sorting people.
Because we'd want to see it kind of in action.
Right.
I think that would be the most fun, where you could actually see books going every which way. Well, let me talk to Greg and get some possibilities, and then I'll send it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for remembering that. I will see him on Friday.
Okay, great.
Yeah. That'd be a fun field trip.
And then our next meeting is May 9th.
Yes,
correct?
we can all celebrate my anniversary with
Which is
me.
Mo's
Yeah.
anniversary, I know that. So, and how many years?
31.
31.
31?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would only remember
Yes.
because mine's the day before. I couldn't remember if I was,
Oh.
because we're 42.
Oh, my
I think. You're
goodness.
31. So, yeah. And you are 31.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So our next meeting will celebrate Mo's wedding anniversary.
And yours from the day before.
Okay. Any other business? Meeting is adjourned at 6:02.